静怡你好酷。好，我们3、2、1，打开礼炮手，说野狗骨头开播了，好不好？来，3、2、1，野狗骨头开播啦！哇哦哇哦，响了一响又一响，来帮个忙帮个忙。这说明我们响了一响又一响，一直开播大爆。哇哦！哎，换一个，换一个，换一个。这不知不觉还 get 了一个新的名场面。让我们的礼炮响不停，哇！来，我们好事乘以3遍，让大家所有头顶撒到了我们的小礼花的都能够 get 强烈的好运。哇，谢谢谢谢给我们带来的。卫生物品，谢谢。第2个小惩罚是我们的闭眼拍手，就是我们同时闭上眼睛，然后一起拍手，然后直到同时拍手卡上那个点才叫正确。好，可以把我们的麦稍微放一下，闭上眼睛，亲子游戏。好，随时可以开始。随身，这也太默契了吧！我都感觉这个游戏还没有开始。好的，继续，请继续。
The atmosphere at the location of the Wild Dog Bones drama promotion was completely different from the usual drama events. As one of the lucky fans who was able to watch it live, I could feel how the enthusiasm of the audience had already peaked even before the main performers went on stage. The entire area was filled with cameras, light sticks, to the sounds of the fans who kept calling out Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi's names. The concept of the show was made like a trip to Tingqing City, a location that became an important setting in the Wild Dog Bones story. The host repeatedly invited the entire audience as if they were riding a train to the world that would bring the story of Chen Yi and Miao Jing to life in front of everyone. The simple concept actually makes the atmosphere feel closer to the drama. As soon as Song Weilong's name was called, the cheers of the audience instantly echoed across the venue. He appeared with a relaxed smile while waving his arms in all directions. Not long after, Zhang Jingyi joined the stage with a sweet smile that instantly made the atmosphere even more festive. The two stand side by side with Miao Ruoping and Sun Yuhong before introducing each character to the audience. Song Weilong introduced himself as Chen Yi, a character he referred to as Wild Dog in the story. Zhang Jingyi introduced Miao Jing as Bone. Although their introduction was short, the relaxed expressions and smiles they threw at each other were enough to make fans start screaming every time the camera highlighted the two at the same time. Interestingly, their chemistry doesn't look made up at all. Even before the first game began, the two had laughed several times because of jokes from the hosts and other players. Small moments like turning their heads when one is talking or laughing together are the most highlighted by fans on location. The event then entered the first game, which was given the theme of Guangdong special drink. The players were divided into 2 groups. Song Weilong was paired with Zhang Jingyi, while Miao Ruoping was paired with Sun Yuhong. Since the division of teams was announced, the audience's cheering immediately increased dramatically. Many do wish the drama's lead couple were on the same team in order to see more interaction between them. The game is actually quite simple. Both teams must choose a variety of ingredients to create a dessert drink while avoiding some of the bombs that the opponent has hidden. But it was precisely the punishment from the game that made the whole audience scream many times. When Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi successfully selected one of the ingredients, they actually got the first punishment. The host asks the two to hold hands for 5 seconds. As soon as the instructions were given, the entire venue was immediately filled with cheering sounds. Some spectators even immediately stood up from their seats to capture the moment using cameras. What makes the atmosphere even more crowded is the reaction of the two who look very relaxed. No exaggerated, awkward expressions. They just approached each other, held hands according to the instructions, then smiled while listening to the countdown from the host. It is precisely this natural attitude that makes the fans even more excited. 5 seconds sounds very short. But for fans of the couple Chen Yi and Miao Jing, the moment felt like a special gift from the promotional event. The game continues. This time the two again had to accept the punishment after choosing the next bomb. They were asked to close their eyes and clap their hands at the same time until the rhythm was completely the same. At first glance the challenge looks easy, but it turns out that it produces a lot of funny moments. Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi tried several times to equalize the timing of the claps without looking at each other. Surprisingly, in just a few experiments they have already managed to find a common rhythm. The hosts even joked that the two looked too compact, as if the game hadn't really started yet. The joke was immediately greeted by laughter from the audience because their chemistry felt very natural throughout the game. On the other hand, the couple Miao Ruoping and Sun Yuhong actually tease each other more often so that the stage atmosphere becomes more lively. The 4 players seem to be really enjoying the game, rather than just running a series of promotions. This is what then made many viewers comment that the relationship of the players behind the scenes seems to be very familiar. There is no sense of keeping your distance or talking formally. They interrupt each other, tease each other, and often even laugh because of spontaneous jokes that arise during the event. The hosts themselves went so far as to say that their atmosphere was reminiscent of playing on set, rather than attending an official promotional event. It was immediately agreed by all the players who laughed at the same time. The fun hasn't stopped there. As the game enters the next round, Miao Ruoping and Sun Yuhong have to accept some funny punishments, ranging from only being allowed to use chopsticks to having to maintain a certain hand position during the game. In between, Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi laughed at the behavior of their colleagues several times. What caught the most attention was precisely how Song Weilong occasionally noticed Zhang Jingyi's reaction when the host was explaining the rules of the game. Several times they were seen discussing each other briefly about the choice of materials to be taken before finally making a decision together. It's those little interactions that make many fans feel like their chemistry not only shows up when the drama's cameras are on, but also carries over to promotional events. In the end, Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi's team had to accept a narrow defeat from the opposing team. As a final punishment, they were asked to drink a bitter-tasting Guangdong herb called the strongest version. The funny thing is, both Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi both admitted that the drink didn't taste too bitter anymore because during the filming process they often drank it. The simple answer actually made the fans laugh again, and at the same time gave an idea of how the filming process of this drama really lasted for a long time so that the players were used to life on the set. Although only the opening game, the atmosphere created managed to make the entire audience more convinced that the promotion of Wild Dog Bones was not just a formal event introducing a new drama. From the very first minutes, Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi's chemistry was already the center of attention, while the familiarity of the entire cast made the event feel like a big family reunion filled with laughter. And that's just the beginning. After the first game ended, the show actually entered another series of challenges that presented more sweet interactions, romantic scenes that were reenacted directly, to Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi's deep recognition of Chen Yi and Miao Jing's relationship that made the atmosphere change from full of laughter to very emotional. If the first game managed to make the entire venue filled with laughter, then the next session really became a moment that made fans feel like they were watching a cut of the Wild Dog Bones episode live. The initially relaxed atmosphere slowly turns more emotional as the players begin to be invited to reminisce about various iconic scenes from the play. The game further tests the cohesiveness of the entire player through the challenge of movements and words that represent each character. Song Weilong, Zhang Jingyi, Miao Ruoping, and Sun Yuhong had to memorize a series of movements related to Wild Dog, Bone, Bowl, and Toast, then perform them simultaneously following the host's instructions. Although it sounds simple, the game was actually filled with laughter. Several times the players made the wrong moves, while Zhang Jingyi looked to be the fastest to grasp the rhythm of the game. When one by one participants began to fall, Zhang Jingyi managed to hold out until the end and came out victorious. The cheers of the audience immediately filled the room. Many fans shouted proudly to see the actress able to beat all other players in a game that relies on concentration and speed. As a reward, Zhang Jingyi was given the opportunity to shoot a short promotional video for Wild Dog Bones. He was asked to make a special gesture while inviting the audience to watch the play. Even though he looked shy, he still carried out the challenge with enthusiasm. Behind him, Song Weilong along with the other two actors continued to provide support while laughing at his colleagues' funny behavior. The warm atmosphere further shows that the relationship between the players has been very familiar since the filming process took place. Several times the hosts even mentioned that they looked like they were playing on the set, not in an official promotional event. However, the most awaited part has finally arrived. The host invites all players to enter a session called Famous Scene. In this session, they were asked to repeat various famous scenes from the play, then explain the meaning behind each dialogue. Since the names of Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi were called to come forward together, the entire audience immediately cheered louder than before. The cameras of the fans were raised again almost at the same time because everyone knew this was the most anticipated moment. The first dialogue was performed by Song Weilong as Chen Yi. With a calm expression but full of emotion, he said a sentence that became one of the most touching dialogues in the drama, about his hope that Miao Jing could live a peaceful life and one day they could walk together until the end of life's journey. For a few seconds after the dialogue was over, the atmosphere of the venue was suddenly silent. Even the fans who previously kept shouting were silent, enjoying the performance. The host then asked Song Weilong to explain the meaning behind the dialogue. According to him, the sentence was Chan Yi's innermost heart. He explained that his character actually loves Miao Jing very much, but chooses to stay away because he feels that is the only way to protect the woman he loves. Chen Yi wanted to see Miao Jing live safely and happily, even though she herself had to endure the pain. For her, love is not only about belonging, but also about keeping loved ones safe. That explanation immediately made many fans nod in agreement, because it was in accordance with the development of characters that had begun to be seen in the drama. After Song Weilong finished speaking, it was Zhang Jingyi's turn to bring Miao Jing's dialogue. In a gentle tone, he describes the relationship of the two main characters as two stray dogs, who continue to survive together in the midst of the rigors of life. Despite their loneliness and suffering, they are still able to find happiness as long as they still have each other. The sentence sounds simple, but its delivery makes many viewers again dissolve in the atmosphere of drama. When asked to explain the meaning of the dialogue, Zhang Jingyi said that the passage describes a time when Chen Yi and Miao Jing grew up together under very difficult circumstances. They do not have a luxurious life, but the existence of each other is enough reason to continue to survive. According to him, the happiness of both characters does not come from possessions or comfort, but from the belief that they are never really alone. The explanation of the two made many fans understand even more why Chen Yi and Miao Jing's relationship felt so strong from the beginning of the story. The real surprise came a few minutes later. The host asked Song Weilong and Zhang Jingyi to reenact one of the romantic scenes that became the audience's favorite. As soon as the instruction was given, there were long cheers from various corners of the venue. The two faced each other before beginning to utter a dialogue. Even though it was only a brief reenactment, the expressions they displayed made the atmosphere change like watching the filming process of a drama. Song Weilong shows the side of Chen Yi who is still trying to restrain his feelings, while Zhang Jingyi shows Miao Jing who continues to encourage the man to dare to open his heart and stop hiding his love. After the scene was over, the audience's applause sounded very long. The hosts then asked the two to tell what was really going on behind the scenes. Song Weilong explained that at the end of the story, Chen Yi still harbored so much fear due to his past injuries. That's why he keeps moving away from Miao Jing, despite actually loving her very much. Instead, Miao Jing became the figure who slowly pulled Chen Yi out of all that fear. Zhang Jingyi added that Miao Jing understood Chen Yi's heart's content much better than anyone. He never insisted, but stayed by her side until Chen Yi finally dared to accept the love he had been hiding. Their explanation made many fans even more curious about the development of the relationship of the two characters in subsequent episodes. The media interview session that took place afterwards was also filled with interesting answers. Song Weilong was asked about Chen Yi's wild side, which from the beginning was a hallmark of the character. Instead of calling Chen Yi a rude figure, he explained that all the harshness was just a mask to protect himself. Family wounds and a dark past made Chen Yi choose to close his heart and keep others away so as not to see his weakness. But everything changed after meeting Miao Jing. According to Song Weilong, only Miao Jing was able to see the fragile side behind Chen Yi's coldness. His presence slowly made Chen Yi regain confidence in others and dare to show his true self. On the other hand, Jingyi was also asked about Miao Jing's character development. She explains that at the beginning of the story, Miao Jing is not actually a strong woman as many people think. He also feels lost and constantly experiences rejection in his life. But over time, his love for Chen Yi actually became the greatest source of courage. According to Jingyi, Miao Jing's strength does not come from her physique, but from her belief in the person she loves and her courage to still choose love despite having to face many obstacles. The answer immediately received a standing ovation from the fans present at the location. The interview session was not only a promotional event for the drama, but also provided a deeper insight into Chen Yi and Miao Jing's emotional journey. Hearing firsthand how Song Weilong and Jingyi understood their characters made fans even more convinced that the strong chemistry seen on screen was not something that came about by chance, but rather the result of the deepening of characters and cooperation established during the filming process. After a game session, interview, and reenactment of a romantic scene that managed to make the atmosphere change from full of laughter to emotional, the Wild Dog Bones promotional event again presented another surprise that was no less special. This time, the entire audience was invited to enjoy one of the most anticipated parts, namely the performance of the original soundtrack, OST, of the drama. The host revealed that the Wild Dog Bones theme song titled Manu had just been released a few days earlier and immediately received a warm response from fans. The song, performed by Huang Zihong Fan, represents Chen Yi and Miao Jing's entire emotional journey, starting from their childhood, separation, to finally finding each other again. As the intro of the song began to sound inside the venue, the previously boisterous atmosphere slowly turned to calm. The four main actors stood side by side on the stage and began to sing several parts of the song together. Although they are not professional singers, the performance actually feels warmer because it is done with full appreciation. Song Weilong and Jingyi turned to each other several times when singing the part relating to the relationship of their characters. The simple moment again provoked the cheers of fans who from the beginning did continue to pay attention to every little interaction between the two. Many of the audience sang along to the lyrics that had become familiar to their ears. For a few minutes, the venue was literally filled with a warm atmosphere as if everyone was enjoying a small concert specially dedicated to Wild Dog Bones lovers. After the performance of the song was finished, long applause echoed again. The host even said that after watching the drama, fans should also continue to listen to the song because the emotions conveyed through the OST will feel even stronger when associated with Chen Yi and Miao Jing's journey. But the show still keeps one other favorite session. The organizers then brought a classic-style picture frame onto the stage. This session is an opportunity for players to provide fan service through special photo shoots that can later be immortalized directly by fans. Song Weilong and Jingyi were asked to stand in the middle of the frame first. Interestingly, when the host asked what kind of pose they wanted to do, the two actually looked at each other with a smile as if they had no special plans. Seeing the confusion, the host ended up asking them to pose spontaneously because he thought that natural expressions would actually produce the best photos. The countdown begins. Within a few seconds, Song Weilong and Jingyi alternated poses following the photographer's direction. There were no exaggerated gestures, but the relaxed expressions and smiles they displayed were enough to keep fans screaming every time the cameras managed to capture the moment the two stood side by side. Several times they also reflexively turned their heads towards different cameras so that all sides of the venue had the opportunity to take the best photos. The professional attitude of the two again drew praise from the fans present. After the two sessions were over, it was Miao Ruoping and Sun Yuhong's turn to do a photo shoot with a similar concept. Unlike the main couple who appeared the two actually presented various funny poses to make the entire stage filled with laughter. Shortly after, the four players gathered again to do a photo session together. Although the frame used looks small enough to accommodate 4 people at once, they actually use it as a joke. Several times their position changes so that all faces can fit into the frame. The result actually looks more familiar and shows the close relationship of all players during the filming process. For me as a fan who was present in person, the photo session was proof that the cohesiveness of the players is not only visible when the drama camera starts recording, but also really felt in every interaction outside the scene. This was further reinforced when the last interview session began. One of the most interesting questions was addressed to Song Weilong and Jingyi regarding their resemblance to the characters portrayed. Song Weilong without hesitation said that he thought Jingyi had a lot in common with Miao Jing. He portrays his co-star as brave, kind, strong, but also has a fragile side that is not always shown to everyone. The praise immediately made Jingyi smile shyly, while the audience cheered again because they did not expect Song Weilong to give such a sincere assessment of his acting partner. When it was his turn to answer, Jingyi also replied with no less warm praise. According to him, Song Weilong had many similarities to Chen Yi. He sees his co-star as responsible, warm, considerate of those around him, and always able to provide a sense of security. Hearing the compliment, Song Weilong simply smiled while looking a little embarrassed. The host immediately teased the two because he felt the atmosphere of the interview changed, like giving appreciation to each other. The simple moment again made the whole venue filled with laughter. Another question then discusses how they portrayed Chen Yi and Miao Jing's relationship before and after reuniting in the story. Song Weilong explained that in the early phase, Chen Yi was still an optimistic figure despite living in limitations. But after experiencing various bitter events, he turned into a closed person and always tried to distance Miao Jing in order to protect her. On the contrary, Jingyi explained that Miao Jing actually experienced a different development. If when he was young he always depended on Chen Yi, then when he grew up he became a figure who dared to take the first step to heal the wounds of his loved ones. According to Jingyi, Miao Jing chose to be the one who returned Chen Yi's hope, rather than simply waiting to be loved. That explanation made many fans understand even more why the two characters' relationship feels so mature and emotional throughout the story. Towards the end of the event, the 4 players together participated in a small ceremony as a symbol of the beginning of Wild Dog Bones' journey. They completed the special decorations that the committee had prepared while expressing hope that the play would have great success during its broadcast. All the players then stood side by side facing the fans. With a big smile, they invite everyone to continue supporting Wild Dog Bones through its broadcast on Mango TV and Hunan TV. The invitation was greeted by a long cry from the fans who from the beginning did not stop giving support to all the players. When the show actually ended and all 4 performers waved before leaving the stage, I realized one thing that many other fans probably felt as well. This promotion is not just an event to introduce a new drama, but an opportunity to show how strong relationships between players have been built during the filming process. From laugh-filled games, romantic reenactments that left the audience speechless, heartfelt OST performances, to interview sessions that revealed Chen Yi and Miao Jing's innermost side, everything managed to make Wild Dog Bones feel more alive even before the on-screen story was over. It was no surprise that after leaving the venue, fans still continued to talk about Song Weilong and Jingyi's chemistry on social media. Many claim to be increasingly convinced that the two managed to liven up Chen Yi and Miao Jing's relationship so naturally, both when the drama's cameras were on and when standing together on the promotional stage. If this promotional event is used as an illustration, then Wild Dog Bones not only offers a touching romance story, but also shows how the cooperation and closeness of the players is able to bring a memorable experience to fans. That was the reason why the show ended with long applause, satisfied smiles from the audience, and great hopes that Chen Yi and Miao Jing's journey would continue to steal drama lovers' hearts until the last episode.